I didn't want to sit at home and practice the guitar. I wanted to start a band. So me and my drummer Ventor, he's still my drummer, we are starting a band to learn how to play metal. And that's still like the essence of KREATOR, you know, like 2 original members.
Rock Dudes 35 is presented by PLEJMO, a super modern online video renting service. They are smart, brave and quick to adapt. PLEJMO dare to break new ground but also change paths if necessary. Digital behavior is constantly changing. What was true yesterday won't necessarily be true tomorrow. Patterns change and new ones emerge. They know there is great opportunity to create new behavior and new patterns. But they are creating something more than just new video-on-demand service. PLEJMO are trying to change the movie business into something better because they also love films. And this is always starts with a team. Digital communication aces, enthusiasts and film nerds. That is them. They are PLEJMO. Welcome to Rock Dudes 35 and a new international episode. The guest this time is Miland Mille Petrozza from the German Thrash metal band KREATOR. KREATOR was formed over 30 years ago and is one of the leading German Thrash metal bands. Their popularity was growing a lot until the beginning of the 90s, but when the whole hard rock and thrash metal scene went down, Mille and the other guys did still write a lot of new music, and of course toured a lot as well. But from now on they were experimenting a lot with other styles of metal music. Mille thought it was a really interesting time and made them develop the sound where they are today. Mille is a real down-to-earth type of guy and it was a real pleasure to have him as a guest in our studio. Really inspiring. KREATOR have been touring a lot during the years and of course Mille will tell you several fun stories from the road. You can hear it all in Rock Dudes 35. In the end of our shows, we will present you the music top list. Together with Mille, we will present you 15 songs. You will find the list on our Spotify profile and homepage rockdudes.se. Enough talking from my side, let's start the interview with Miland Mille Petrozza. Rock Dudes! Welcome to Rock Dudes 35 and today we are going to talk a lot about thrash metal and we have the band KREATOR and Mille, the frontman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice.
Hello Mille,
nice
welcome to Sweden.
All right.
How is everything? Cold?
It's cold and like I said, I just came from Barcelona, so it's a little, the weather change was a little drastic. But I kind of came from, I took a train from Barcelona to Montpellier, then to Paris, then to London, and now Sweden. So it's getting worse. I'm going to Finland tomorrow. So,
for PR?
Yeah.
It's even colder in Finland,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. So going from 20 degrees to probably minus 20 or something in Finland.
What's the temperature in Barcelona now?
20.
20, uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Very nice, sunny.
But are you based in Barcelona? Or
yeah, I spend some time there because my girlfriend has an apartment there, and so we go back and forth. You know, Essen, Barcelona, sometimes Berlin. Barcelona's nice. It's very relaxed.
Is there a thrash scene in Barcelona?
Huge metal scene in general.
Since you went over there, there's a new scene coming up with thrash.
It's been there before. There's tons of metal bars in Barcelona.
Yeah.
There's tons of artists, like metal musicians, and but it's the general vibe is very relaxed. So it's a very peaceful city, and then they have one bar there called the Nevermind.
Okay.
And you go in there and they have a half pipe in the bar.
Uh-huh.
It's really cool.
That's cool.
And then there's another metal place that's also very nice, the Ball Breaker.
But you played in Barcelona several times.
Yeah,
right?
many
different
times.
venues.
I've but living there for a little bit, it just, you know, just turns you into a different person because you're like really relaxed. You take it easy a lot more. It's very like it's not as, you know, Germans are very tight with their schedules and stuff like that, and I'm the same way in a way. But in Barcelona, everything is more laid back, you know. Siesta, but in a good way, you know. They get their stuff done, and it's not like it's just a different, because of the sun and the whole atmosphere is all very relaxed and very laid back.
And always sunny. That's a good thing.
Yeah, you have a saying called "mañana mañana" for the Spanish country.
Yeah, that's kind of like a little bit of a cliche.
Yeah.
Because it's not like that.
No.
It's not like that. It's just a different. It's a different tempo.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Do you get recognized when you're there though?
Yeah, among metal people, yes, of course. But it's not that. It's like people are very polite and very. Even when I would go to Ballbreaker, which is a full-on metal bar, they would play Exciter and Ostrogoth and Mercyful Fate, you know, very old school but very cool, very nice.
And then you tend to hear your own songs as well.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's I'm also, you know, even though I'm a musician, I'm still a metal fan, and I go there to listen to metal, you know.
It's impressive. I mean, you guys has been going on strong for several years now. I mean, you're here promoting your new album, the 14th in a row, right?
Yep, it's been a while. We've been going since '85, man.
Yeah, it's when you look up the information, it's like 82. Some places, but it's 85.
82 is the how would you say it? It's the
learning year.
No, 82 was the day I got my first guitar in 82. Let's put it this way, and I learned my first chord in 82. Yeah. But I wasn't in a band. Of course, we were starting when we started the band. When I picked up my first guitar, I didn't want to sit at home and practice the guitar. I wanted to start a band. So me and my drummer Ventor, who's still my drummer, we are starting a band to learn how to play metal. And that's still like the essence of KREATOR, you know, like two original members.
Yeah, but when did the name KREATOR come apart?
That's 85. That's why I count from 85. Yeah. Tormentor was a different band. It was more like almost like a black metalish, very, very dark, very grassroots, not very technical and very chaotic. So when we changed the name to KREATOR, it got more. It's more linked to what we do now.
Yeah.
Did you ever try out singing in German from the beginning? Or it
wasn't cool at the time to sing in German.
was it hard to sing in English the first time then? Seeing your world Germans.
All the bands that we liked sang in English. We were big fans of Venom. We were big fans of even, you know, Bathory when they came out. So it was never even an option to sing in German, because that's what it was pre Rammstein, you know. Now everyone thinks, oh, it's cool to sing in German, but back then there was no Rammstein, there was no metal in German, there was punk rock.
Yeah.
German punk rock, but we thought, like, to me, metal was always like a universal international thing, and I thought that if we would sing in German, we would limit ourselves and we wouldn't play anywhere else but in Germany, which I was right, because one of the very first concerts that we played was in Belgium, which is only around the corner, but from Germany. But still, you know, we were starting off on the first, I think the fourth or fifth show that we ever played was in a different country. And I think that wouldn't have been the case if we would started singing in German, or maybe, you know, you never know. Now that we've decided 30 years ago to sing in German, you never find out whether or not it would have worked, you know. The international recognition. But
you guys were earlier with the thrash scene, right? In 82, 85, nobody else was doing it in Germany.
we weren't playing thrash in '82.
No, but picking it up.
Picking
versus
up.
the black metal.
I think when Venom and Metallica came out, our sound changed. We were like, it was something unheard of at the time, and so we started out as a heavy metal outfit. We were playing Twisted Sister covers, and the whole Judas Priest British Steel album back and forth. You know, that was how we learned how to play, and but these were the influences. Then the early new wave of British heavy metal, bands like Raven, Accept was already a big band in Germany, and I think we wanted to be like them, you know, international band, and like not so much the Scorpions, but Accept was like the band that we were looking up to.
So if you take us through the first 4 or 5 years, you did get signed to a major label pretty early.
Noise wasn't a major label.
No, but later on.
Later on, yeah. We were signed to what was it called? Epic Records.
Right. In the late 80s.
I think that was in '89.
Yeah. So how was it to be signed to a bigger label than?
It was only for America.
Yeah, it was only for America.
Only for America, and in America, you know, you gotta look at it this way. Nowadays, we're looking. You guys have a record label, but back then it was, you know. And nowadays, it's even almost cooler to be on an independent label because you have people working there that are dedicated and that want to get the music out there. The same thing was when we signed to Noise. It was the same thing, you know. But the infrastructure was better on a major label because being on a major label meant more bigger exposure. It was a time when you're on a certain label, there was a possibility you would get into certain record stores, shops. The record would the shops would carry your records just because you're on a certain label. They would go like, yeah, if you want to have the new Ozzy Osbourne, you need to take the new Kreator as well. So it made the band a little bigger. We had a huge marketing budget, and we were sent out on tour in the US for month, and it was exciting. But of course, their sales were not as good as they were expecting.
Yeah, but that helped for the US.
That helped for the US, you know. But it was also, I think, when we got signed to Epic, it was right before grunge, and our sales weren't bad, but they saw this new thing coming, the Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and that was the new thing that was on the horizon already, and so they dropped all their metal bands. Epic, and started to work with Alice in Chains, stuff like that, and which was a new era of music, you know. And unfortunately, at the time, it wasn't like today, where all these great genres coexist peacefully. It was more like, oh, this is the new thing, and then MTV and all these on all the record stations, they would go like, yeah, we only play this, metal is not cool anymore. This is not and some people in higher places, record companies, decided that metal was not the cool thing to play anymore.
How did that affect you though? Did you listen to more grunge music? Just to see the competition.
I loved grunge when it came out, and I because I'm a music nerd, you know. Yeah. But I was being annoyed by all the grunge bands. I always thought Nirvana was a great band. I heard them before they exploded. You know, I had a tape that Marky from Coroner gave me a tape. One side had Soundgarden, the other side had the Bleach album by Nirvana. It was before they got big, and I thought they were great. You know, original punk band. The word grunge wasn't even around.
Did you ever see them live? Any of the grunge bands? Or?
No, unfortunately not. But I think I saw Soundgarden around the time. But like I said, I was really surprised because it was strange times in America and also I think in Europe that all of a sudden the scene got so divided.
Yeah.
Because when in the 80s it was all like, okay, they play more hard rock, Soundgarden, whatever, and they play more punk rockish, Nirvana, whatever, and all of a sudden it all got sold under the genre grunge.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest thing and everything else was not cool anymore. And we're like, why?
So for Kreator, what did you do to maintain that?
We just kept recording albums. Of course, we were a little bit under the influence, not of grunge, but experimenting. We thought, oh, this is, musically we thought, oh, this is a great challenge. Now people are opening up finally, and we can, maybe add some new influences to our music as well. We toured with a lot of hardcore bands at the time. And we loved hardcore, and so we wrote this album Renewal, which was really, really like a mix between old school thrash metal, hardcore, and even industrial stuff. And as we went on throughout the 90s, we were still recording albums, very more experimental ones, but not pure. Some people say it's not even pure thrash metal, but I disagree because that's our roots and it's in our DNA. But I think the 90s were a very experimental phase, not only because of the grunge thing. It was just you wanted to prove those people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, this is relevant music. This is just, and also I gotta admit, when you start a band and you're thrash metal guy and you're a teenager still, and we played like you recorded like 5 full-on thrash metal records. There came a time when I wanted to experiment, and I wanted to explore new forms of expressing myself, and I never had the chance to do that in the 80s, because in the 80s it was all about thrash metal and let's try the fastest, heaviest riffs, and in the 90s it was more like, you know what, let's try this and let's try that, and it was good. It was great.
That's because of the name, Kreator.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a good choice.
After the 90s, what happened then? Because what I've been read, you got more back to the old thrashing.
I think what happened was the enthusiasm came back. We were out on a tour. I remember we were out for promoting Endorama, and we were on the same bus as the band Witchery.
Yeah.
And Jens was on the bus, and he played us the Haunted stuff. And Per and Charlie, they were in both bands. They were in the Haunted and
Arch Enemy, right?
So they played us the Haunted stuff the whole time. I was like, man, this is actually pretty cool. So without vocals, and we were like, you know what, we can do this better. What we need to write a new album, and that's how Violent Revolution came about. It was we were influenced by the Haunted at the time. Patrick Jensen, and Charlie D'Angelo were on the bass.
Oh, based on that demo songs you were listening without vocals, that came about the new Kreator in some ways, right?
Yeah, but you gotta look at it this way. At the time, the thrash scene was going underground, and we were all convinced that this is like the heaviest music and the best form of expressing yourself. But there was no. When the thrash scene was exploding, there was inspiration from all kinds of sources. And when we were like during the 90s, it was all like everybody was isolated and was trying to do something that extended the sound, right? So trying to look for new forms of making the sound interesting again without knowing that it was already interesting in the first place. It was definitely something that was cool already, and good. And when we started to write for Violent Revolution, we had all the experience from the 90s that we could put into this record, and we made it like and that's what we do up to now, is coming out with music that has it's a thrash metal. It's 100% thrash metal, but with a twist. And we the twist came from the time of that we were exploring music in the 90s, because without this experimental era of the band, the albums wouldn't sound like they do nowadays, you know. So it was good. The 90s were great. But we didn't realize while they were happening.
So you would say the 90s is the best decade for in terms of your genre of music?
For thrash, no, it was the worst.
Oh, it was. But for you guys, it was the best.
for us, it was the best musically. Not the best, but it was definitely a time where we would just do things the way, because there was nothing to lose anyway.
No, you didn't care.
The thrash metal scene was very underground. And so we wanted to establish ourselves as a metal band, you know. We wanted to be seen as a part of because that's what we started out as. And I always thought in my head metal was always about total freedom. When you become a metalhead, the reason why you become a metalhead is because you have a musical freedom and absolutely creative freedom. And that got lost. Because of the definition of thrash metal. At some point, we felt like we were in a cage. We have to satisfy the genre, and that we needed to break out of this, and that was the 90s for us. We just experimented and did everything very egoistic, but also on the other hand, very necessary for our musical evolution, you know, because every musician should experience that at one point in order to become a better musician and become and be able to come up with something cool and not your everyday thrash metal. I always thought that the worst, what's killing it for me is if people get too stuck and too conservative in their music. And I think that once you discover that and you go through this almost like a identity crisis, you know, you find there's a way where you can rediscover the qualities that made the band when we started, but add something to it. Add all your musical everything that you like about music. Put that in there, without being the thrash metal band, but just be the great band that has its roots and its DNA in thrash metal. I think that's how I see Kreator.
That's how you succeeded as well. How would you see this scene nowadays? It feels like it's being popular again, right?
Thrash metal, oh yeah, big time.
It's like a revival thing, or
thanks to the young bands, yes.
Is it the same in Germany or all over?
Yeah, all over the place. But I think, like I said earlier, I think we established, we kind of, I would like to think, and I think it is a fact that we have crossed over to a more metal audience. You know, Kreator is, of course, thrash metal, and like first and foremost, but we can also cross over and headline the Bang Your Head festival in Germany, which is a total traditional metal festival that Sabaton would headline, for example.
So have you met a lot of newcomer bands that has you as an influence?
Oh, talking about Barcelona, there's one, Kreators in Barcelona. They're a great band.
Tribute Kreator band, or what were you thinking about?
No, they're not a tribute to Kreator. They're more of, you know, the old style thrash metal where it was linked to the skate scene and the nuclear assault, excel, suicidal tendencies, more that kind of style.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, very good, very good. There's a whole new bunch of bands that play that style. And
you're trying to help them out, perhaps getting on tour as well.
We'd love to. I mean, we We do a lot of touring, so it's definitely possible to take one of these bands, because we did that in the past. We do it here and there. We've been on tour with Fueled by Fire, which is a band from LA that plays thrash metal in you know, like the new wave of thrash, whatever you want to call them. And many of those bands, you know, Legion of the Damned from Holland, we took on tour. And Suicidal Angels from Greece. So there's always like one of we always try to put one of those bands on our bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the next upcoming tour is quite unusual, but because there's a mixture of bands on that tour.
Yeah.
Genre-wise, was that?
But it's. I think all these bands they have one thing in common: they play extreme metal.
Yeah, but you're playing with Soilwork.
Yeah, Soilwork I have developed into a very interesting band. I think they're like they come from they're like their roots are also in extreme metal, and now they have like this almost this pop appeal to the music.
Well, they started out as two albums was actually thrash, and then evolved into something different, even kind of popular.
Yeah,
but there's also a third act that you're playing with on that tour. Which one is that?
Awarded.
Yeah.
They're from Belgium. More of a grind outfit, like a horror kind of. They've been around for 20 years already. So
you decide on which bands you want to tour on that.
Sepultura, of course. They're one of our main. They were one of our friends when we started out. You know, they came from the same tape trading scene, and Sepultura has always been, to me, has always been like one of those bands that took it to the next level. You know, what I was talking about in the 90s. They were also one of those bands that were willing to experiment and willing to explore music. So it's going to be an interesting tour.
But you guys are headlining.
Yeah.
How is that? Seeing that you're headlining before Sepultura, is it different or?
I mean, we're all friends. There's only music, no headlining bands.
No, of course not. Yeah. It's good music.
Yeah.
It's like mini festivals, more
exactly.
You're about to release a new album in January, and it's called The Gods of Violence. And what does that title stand for?
Basically, it was the first song I've written for the album, and I wanted this to be summing up the Greek mythology, like connecting Greek mythology with modern day current events like terror, violence, and misery in the world. And the idea that I had was that violence and terror is nothing new. It's something that's been in the human DNA and the human soul, so to speak, for ages. And that was the first song, and I stuck to that title because I thought I think it's pretty strong.
Yeah. So what do you think about everything going on in the world today?
The violence, the gods.
I could just ask you the same question. I don't want, the thing is, a lot of people tend to think I'm such a political person, but I'm not. I'm definitely not. I hate politics.
Who thinks that? Because based on listening to lyrics?
Some of my lyrics.
Oh.
But my lyrics don't talk about politics. They talk about misery caused by politics, which is a huge difference, a major difference. And I think politics can be a source of inspiration when it comes to writing songs about that fit an extreme music. But I'm not a political person, really. I mean, I couldn't care less about politics. I think, to me, to answer the question, what I think about what's going on in the world, it's always been shit, Now it's probably it's been taken to the next level.
Yeah, it's just different people doing it.
Yeah, but I don't think the world's gonna end next week or next year. I have faith in the in humanity, really. And I know that, growing up in the 80s, the Reagan era, whatever, so I think everything will be fine in the end.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin my existence on Earth by thinking too much about these these things.
Yeah, but
I think the most important thing to me and my main source of inspiration is literature, art, movies, and music. This is where I draw my inspiration from, and so everything you hear in a Kreator song is 80% influenced by this. And of course, I come up with these epic sounding titles like Totalitarian Terror, which is like wow, you know what. But then on the other hand, it's like I want you know, if you think about it, of course I talk about how much influence certain groups, how they influence the human mind, but in a very metaphoric way, where it's never about like in the year 2015 Facebook got taken over by evil forces, whatever. You know, I talk about the human misery in general, and basically about good and evil. You know, like ancient metal themes. You know, like that even Dio wrote about, just in a different way. Yeah. So nothing has changed when it came to that, you know.
Yeah, well, I read you on this album. You have been working with the Swedish producer team,
Jens Bogren. Yeah.
Have you been working with him before?
Yeah, for Phantom Antichrist.
Yeah,
for the previous album. Yeah. So we got to experience the city. We were recording here in Stockholm. What was the part? The Fascination Street. His studio is in town, but it's a different part of town. Mm-hmm. More of by the water.
Maybe old town.
But the majority of the album we've recorded in Örebro.
In Örebro, yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. It's where their companies settled there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What more can you say about the album? Have you other influences to record the music and things like that?
Yeah, like I said, inspiration came from all kinds of different sources, and we try to make it as interesting as possible. It's our 14th album, and I think there's nothing worse than listening to the 14th album of a band and it sounds tired. Yeah. So we made sure it doesn't sound tired. It sounds like we always have, like, if anything, that we come up with the dogma that we pretend it's our first album ever. So just pretend like nobody's heard of your band before and you're playing your new album. It has to be as strong as the first album, the second album, or all the legendary Pleasure Kill, whatever albums, you know. So we had that as a. That's not a strategy or anything, but it's definitely something that we, for our own enjoyment, I wouldn't record an album that's just like, okay, another Kreator album, another reason to go on tour. I think it is essential to me that I give 150% and come up with something that sounds like we mean it.
Really? Is it tough to pick songs for touring, club gigs and festivals? I mean, since you got 14th album, the history of Kreator, is a fight constantly picking songs to play live from all your history.
Yeah, you can never make everyone happy because there's gonna be people that will go, why don't you play only songs up until 91? And we're like, yeah, because it's not 91 anymore. There's, metal is very conservative sometimes. Even bands like Iron Maiden, which I really love, they go out with like classic sets where they only play songs up to, or just repeat the set list of Somewhere in Time or whatever, which is so cool, which is a cool idea. But I think with Kreator is different because when we did A Violent Revolution in 2001, it's like the second era of the band, which is more popular than the old era. And we have so many young fans that came into the picture in 2001 that started when they're already 30 in their 30s now, and they really enjoy the new stuff. And so do we. So it is a little hard to pick from every album to make everyone happy, and first and foremost make ourselves happy in order to make other people happy.
It's a lot of band doing concept things for touring since they're like maybe it's like 30th anniversary and we're playing this album from the beginning to the end. Is this something you're thinking about for the future? I mean, it's almost an anniversary of 15 albums coming out in the next coming years.
Yeah, I think it is. It might be an option. People ask me this many times, like, why don't you play the whole Pleasure Kill album? Because it's a big deal for some people. But I cannot see this, but I can see maybe playing a tour where we only do a classic set up to 1990, the first 5 albums.
For just a specific time area, where maybe a month or whatever, and then leave it at like
exactly,
that.
But I don't know if it's necessary, really. I mean, it's for the classic bands, like a name like Iron Maiden. You know, everyone has grown up with these songs.
Yeah,
and it had a different impact when it came out.
Of course.
And I think Pleasure Kill, as much as people love it, it's an underground album. It's one of the major, like the top 10 extreme albums that came out in 86, but it's still an extreme album. So it's not like your mainstream. I'm not saying that Iron Maiden is a mainstream band, but they are in a way, you know.
Yeah, and it's the thing when you get up and become that big and play on the big shows.
Yeah.
It's so many people there.
Yeah, exactly.
For the first time.
Exactly. Absolutely. So it's to us, it's not. It might be an option in the future, but that's not my main focus at the moment.
But you are getting in touch a lot with the fans and come up with ideas with kinds of set lists you want to play.
If it was up to the fans, the set list might look a little different. But those are the fans that are commenting everything and complaining a lot.
Keyboard warriors, that's what we call them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trolls.
Yeah.
There's also good fans as well. I mean,
yeah. It's
if it weren't for the fans, we wouldn't be here.
You know what? The thing is. As much, you know, the thing is when you read comments on Facebook, there's like, let's say 100 comments, 90 of them are great, you know, like, wow, man, this song is great. There's 10 that were like, well, no, I like the last one better. You know what sticks are the 10 negative ones. And these people mean well. They're interested in the band. They're just a little disappointed. You know, they would never tell that to your face, but it's their opinion.
That's why the album came out, Gods of Violence, in January, right? We dedicated to those 10 people.
All right.
Just to see if you have any good anecdotes from the touring or through these 30 years.
What's a typical Kreator fan, age-wise?
Yeah. Anything from 16 to 50, you know. Yeah.
All ages, all
ages. Especially in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of younger people coming into the picture. And
do you know why that is, though?
Maybe they haven't been around and they heard from their big brothers or their parents, whatever, you know. And new metal is very traditional. It's like, you know, we're getting to an age now where we're considered to be a classic band, like Black Sabbath. They've been around since 1990. You know, when I was born, they formed the band, whatever. And so. I guess when you keep doing this for so long, there's all age groups coming in because of the fact that the old fans, you know, they might not come to every there's a certain group of old fans that come every year, and there's people that come and go, you know.
Yeah.
Like some old fans might not like the new album, so they skip that tour, but maybe some new fans are coming, you know. So it's
sending the kids
to
make sure.
So you actually get groupies now. You're even more popular. That's awesome.
The groupie thing is a myth, you know. That's been it happened in the 80s.
Not anymore, or
there's some girls, but I don't like the word groupie too
much.
No,
of course,
you know?
Fans. We call
fans.
them
female fans. Yeah. There's also male groupies, if you know what I mean. So
there's a male group as for Kreators.
Yeah. But those are more like nerds, music nerds that talk about like wow, man, very detailed, you know.
Do you recognize him? Is it like people like following you around on every tours?
We have a especially in US, there's people. I guarantee you, when we play, let's say in this area, we go there, and I know that there's certain persons coming to the show, and they follow us around for a couple of shows, and those are not groupies, but they're like the Kreator nerds, you know, like really, really dedicated fans, great people, and you know, you get to know things about your band that you don't know yourself, because they're so deep into it, and so they absorb every piece of information that they can find. And sometimes it's interesting, because if I ever write a book, I have to talk to these people, because they know so much about what's happening.
They are the idea of the book, because they have all the information about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Rock Dudes! Now it's time for Rock Dudes 35's Music Top List. In the Music Top List, we will present 15 songs divided into 1/3 each. Our guest Mille will start with his 5 songs, and then me and Ömer we will tell our top 5. The Music Top List will be published on our Spotify profile and homepage rockdudes.se.
Rock Dudes! Now it's time for the Music Top List, and what's your first song to choose?
My first song would be Mercyful Fate, a song of the album Melissa called Evil. I think it's the first song on the record. When I was growing up, becoming aware of this scene, Mercyful Fate, to me, I've seen them opening up for Raven, and I didn't like them. But then I went home and bought their record for some reason, even though I didn't like them live. I picked up the record, and I love them ever since. I mean, they're one of my all-time favorite bands, and I got to play with Michael Denner once for Volbeat the band. They invited me and Michael Denner on stage to play with them, and on a song, 7 Shots. And so I got to know Michael Denner, and they're one of my all-time favorite bands. So we're listening to the song Evil right now by Mercyful Fate.
Okay, and then you got to your second choice.
Second choice would be a friend of mine that's on the new record, Dagobert. He's a friend of mine. He sings in German. He's not very metal, but I've played a solo on one of his songs called Wir leben aneinander vorbei, Dagobert. That's the song. And the story behind the song is he did a poem for one of the songs on my new record, for the song Fallen Brother. There's a German part, that we have it, on the new record. And he wrote the poem in German. And he's a very cool artist that came from that is from Switzerland originally, and he helped me to write the song "Satan is Real." He came up with the title for me, and he also wrote this little piece of music for me, of lyrics, the poem on Fallen Brother. The song is called "Wir leben aneinander vorbei." I do the solo bit I do the leads in the song. It's a very interesting song. Maybe your listeners will like it.
Okay, and then we got to the middle of the list, and the third song.
The third song would be, let's stay in the classic metal genre. I'm a big Iron Maiden fan, and I think this is a metal show, right?
Yeah.
So let's stick with metal. And the first time I got introduced by Iron Maiden was I was a little kid. I was really, really young. My cousin had to take me to the Kiss show, and the opening band was Iron Maiden. So when I got out of the I came into the show as a Kiss fan, and I left the show as an Iron Maiden fan. That was the beginning of my musical education, so to speak. Seeing Iron Maiden live for the first time was a mind-blowing experience, and I didn't know back then that there was something better than Kiss, you know, but they were a lot better and a lot more influential, a lot more enthusiastic. It was the kickoff for my years as a metalhead, you know, a real metalhead, not only a Kiss fan. So I want to play this song, Running Free, of the first Iron Maiden album. Not very original, but you know, you all know the song, I guess. But let's celebrate metal with the song Running Free by Iron Maiden.
Good, then we have 2 songs left, and what will be the 4th song?
The 4th song would be let's play Metallica. Why not? I mean, Kill 'Em All got me into thrash metal. I was a big fan of. I turned into a thrash metal head by listening to Metallica, because before that there was no thrash metal. So one of the first riffs I learned on the guitar from that genre. You know, before that I was able to play the whole British Steel album, but when Metallica came out, I started to learn the opening riff of the next song that we're gonna play. This is taken off the Kill 'Em All album. It's called Motorbreath.
Yeah, we have the last song left.
Oh yeah, why not playing something by Tribulation, a Swedish band? I'm a big fan of them. Their album, Children of the Night. I think let's play the title track. I just discovered the band like last year. Very original band. So because we're in Sweden, I want to pay tribute to the Swedish metal scene and playing Tribulation. I think they're a great band. I hope we're gonna play with them one day.
Okay, now it's Ömer's top 5. So what will be your first song?
The first is a Swedish band which is back on track. It's been a year or more than that. Dead by April is back with the song Breaking Point, melodic death metal.
Swedish melodic death metal. So what will be the number 2?
Number 2 is from the States, and it's actually Testament with their brand new album coming out. The song is Brotherhood of the Snake, and if I'm not mistaken, you have also one track from the Testament's album on your top 5, Jonas, right?
I will reveal that later on.
Trash!
Okay, now to the mid-song number 3. What will that be?
And we're heading to Poland, where Vader is dominating the death metal shots with the song Angels of Steel.
It's a lot of metal on this list. Will it go on that with the 4th song as well?
Probably, but this time we're back in my southern region, Skåne. A band called Deranged, some old school death metal. And this is the song Stork by Murderers Sieg.
What will be the last song of your top 5 list?
We're back to the States with some mathcore. The Dillinger Escape Plan is calling it quits. And I picked a song from the last album, which is Limerent Death. And Jonas, your top 5 songs is the song that you're going to reveal now, which was also my top 5 songs. The band Testament.
Yeah, I couldn't resist to take one of the new songs from the new album, Brotherhood of the Snake. I chosen the song The Pale King. And that is a really heavy thrash song, and I'm really looking forward to watch their show on the 70 Tons of Metal in the beginning of next year. So, yeah, here it is.
So for the second song, I mean, it's a lot of trash according to your top 5. So I guess that is the Sin Red Line, right?
Yeah, we have the guest from KREATOR, Mille, and he's a really thrash guy. So I just composed a really thrashy top 5 list of mine, and the next song will be with Anthrax, and the theme of the rest of the song is album from the 80s, the real thrash, beginning of the thrash era, and the song is Among the Living, and it's a really cool and one of the first song I really heard of Anthrax.
Third song is a band who used to be in Metallica but has his own well, it's been going on for ages. Megadeath, not Megadeath. It's called Megadeath, right?
Megadeath. I don't really know how to pronounce it as well, but I have chosen one song, Mechanics, and if you did already relate to the Metallica. If you listen to this song, this is really from the Kill 'Em All theme. So yeah, that's why I just chosen that one, Mechanics.
Slayer!
Oh yeah, you can't choose a thrash list without Slayer, that's for sure. I have chosen a song from the Rean Blood album, the Postmortem. It's a really heavy, really Slayer thrashing song, so that's really good for the thrash parties.
And we sum up the top 5 with your idols.
Yeah, my big idols, Metallica. It's not from the new album, it's really from the second album, Ride the Lightning, and I chosen the first song on the album, Fight Fire with Fire, which I saw for the first time live in Berlin 2008 on the release party for the Death Magnetic album, and that was really cool to see that song there. We have come to the end of the 35th episode of Rock Dudes, and the creator story and the thrash story is, we have learned a lot.
The legendary creator from Germany, we're honored. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Rock Dudes 35, where our guest Mille Petrozza from KREATOR did tell us all about his experiences and all the stories about touring and more. The music top list that was in the end of the show will be published through our Spotify profile and homepage rockdudes.se. Don't forget to follow us on our social media network as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter. Search for Rock Dudes Podden. Please write some comments about this episode or what you're thinking about this podcast and which guest you want to be in our future episodes of Rock Dudes. We will of course thank our sponsor PLEJMO. Sign up today and start watching tons of movies at PLEJMO.com. The jingle was recorded by Jonas Hermansson, Peder Månsson and Mia Colhart. The interview was recorded by Jonas Love and was edited by Endigo. The next episode, Rock Dudes 36, will be published the day before Christmas, 23rd of December, and the guest that time will be the almighty guitarist Scott Gorham and his co-pilot Damon Johnson from Black Star Riders / Thin Lizzy. Until then, rock on!